There's no PPE, personal protection equipment, against racism. And I think that is absolutely been part of the message around the two pandemics that we're experiencing around COVID-19, which is why we're all in these virtual spaces, but also the reckoning around racism, which is not new for sure, but for whatever reason, there's been a perfect storm. I hate to use that phrase because perfect makes it sound like it's good, but there certainly has been a confluence of events that raise the visibility and the need for us to pay much closer attention to the ways in which our system continues to be racist and biased against Black, Indigenous people of color, as well as, having us look closely even at our professions. And so I know that a big part of what the conversation has been over the last few days is essentially how we can become more explicitly anti-racist in social work education, how we can decolonize and indigenize our curriculum and our learning environments. And so I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end, but this notion that there has not been any personal protective equipment against racism, that people have borne the brunt and the many, many wounds of racism for some time. And it needs to stop, and we need to stop. And there is a reason to do this within our own profession. So I'm just going to pull up the core values in our social work code of ethics. Clearly, service is first and foremost, that we need to get paid a living wage. There is no question about that. That's not the issue. But we come with a heart around service and thinking about all of those that are being left out of service in order to make sure that our services are fair and equitable. Undergirding everything that we do clearly is a commitment to social justice. And I think that these conversations that we're having over the last several months helps us put more teeth into that concept, that it's not just this sort of pie in the sky sort of ethereal concept, but an action verb and what we can do. Clearly, everything that we do needs to be grounded into the dignity and worth of each and every person that we're working with or may work with in the future. The importance of human relationships, and we're a people profession, and understand the importance of healthy, supportive relationships for complete well-being. Absolute integrity to our profession and the morals, the values, the core ethics of our profession, and obviously a commitment to competence so that we're not just big-hearted, but we've got a toolbox of really important skills. One thing that I want to draw attention to in our code of ethics talks about ethical responsibilities to our colleagues. And specifically, it talks about respect. Social workers shall treat colleagues with respect and shall represent accurately and fairly the qualifications, view, and obligations of colleagues. And I just want to spend a little bit of time unpacking that a bit, because respect is something that does not need to be earned. This is something that we give to our colleagues and the people that we work with. I have a little phrase under there, respect versus respectability politics, and I want to unpack that a bit. Respectability politics uses narratives that define what is respectable. There have been cases where this strategy has actually been very helpful. For instance, the narrative that undocumented immigrants are a financial strain on the country has been challenged by a counter narrative about dreamers being academically successful, self-sufficient young people who also believe in the quote unquote American dream. And so respectable is a way to view them and therefore worthy of their support. So we can use that as a mechanism, but there's a dark side to all of this that we really need to be paying attention to. That the problem with respectability narratives is, and how they get played out, is that the dominant culture defines what is quote unquote respectable and demands that the other demonstrate this respectability before I even consider giving my respect. That is not what our code of ethics talks about. That is not what's being referred to here when we have an ethical responsibility to give respect to our colleagues, to listen closely, to be partners with them. So I really wanted to spend some time sort of unpacking, because I think unknowingly we've bought into, well, you need to prove to me that somehow what you're saying and how you're saying it and all kinds of other dynamics are something that I need to first evaluate whether is respectable before I then offer my respect. That is not the way this needs to be. That is not the way we're going to make the changes in the society that need to be made.